This week on For Crying Out Loud.
You can tell me.
Ozzy, by the way, for people that know Adam, they know Oswaldo Castillo. And Adam has not had Ozzy working for us for a while. He's not very good at his job, but he got a SAG card and he's trying to work in the industry. And I guess Adam's working on some project, and Adam said he would do voice for it or whatever to get him off of his back. And every once in a while, now and then, Ozzy will knock on the door or call. Well, he calls all the time because he wants to work, but Adam ignores him, just like he ignores everybody else. And on Sunday morning, Adam and I were talking, and we were having all this, we were in the bedroom, the kids were playing, and we were drinking our coffee, and we were having this, long, really good talk. And all of a sudden, you hear the gate ring. Bring, bring. And somebody's at the gate.
Did it ring in an accent?
Bring, yeah. I come to tell you, I bring some stuff for you guys, for the kids. So hear Adam go, hello? And then I hear him go, why are you here? And I think, oh, it's Ray. Because that's how he talks to Ray. And he goes, all right. Next time, do me a favor and just call, okay? Hold on. He buzzes him in. I'm like, who is it? And he goes, Ozzy. And I go, well, why don't you tell him just to go away? And he goes, because he has presents for the kids. He throws the phone down. He's like, it's fucking Sunday morning. Who the fuck comes to my gate on Sunday morning?
Check out an all-new episode of For Crying Out Loud this Friday, or go to cryingoutloudshow.com, only from Corolla Digital. This is Corolla Digital.
Hello, my little tapioca pearls. It's me, Allison. Before the show officially starts, a few words. One, a special announcement. If you would like some bonus content, a special premium episode of this show, we recorded one live at the LA Podcast Festival with Doug Benson and Greg Proops, and that is available, or should be available very soon, in the iTunes store, the comedy album section for $1.99. So go look for that and then download it if you want, and love it. Also, I believe we have some iTunes comments of the week, right, Gary?
Allison wants your iTunes comments. Allison wants them, yes she does. Please leave her some iTunes comments and don't forget to click 5 stars.
All right. Our iTunes comment of the week comes from David Dinsmore III, and it is titled, "This podcast is absolutely amazing."
Yes, it is.
I put off joining the Alison Rosen is Your New Best Friend bandwagon until about a week ago. Ever since, I'm listening daily. Allison goes beyond interviewing. Every guest is forced to be extremely personable by Allison's curious interactions. This podcast is an amazing source of food for thought. My favorite podcast of all time, and so much more than I thought it would be. Allison is very unique in how she gets into the guest's inner soul. I would never think I would hear people like Jay Moore talk about his personal life for a good hour. This podcast is perfect for young people interested in some serious food for thought that leaves you engaged for the full duration.
Thanks, David. You know, it didn't occur to me till right now. Why'd he put it off until last week? That's really the unanswered mystery here. It's actually insulting in a way. Not really.
All right, our next iTunes comment comes from Karen J.K., and it is entitled Epitome of a Non-Asperger's Woman. Hi, Allison and Gary. As someone sliding down the other side of the chronological life cycle, old woman, you may be surprised to know how much I appreciate the podcast. Both of you have been a part of my life for a year. It's a happy moment when I see you've recorded a new episode. Your guests are interesting for the most part. You two, always. Gary, you are a sweetheart. You say the right thing at the right time or the right thing at the wrong time. Parentheses regarding Adam, because he doesn't leave any room for anyone to talk, so it's always the wrong time with him. Allison, you're intelligent, determined, ambitious, clever, and entertaining. Your interviewing skills are A+.
Thank you.
Because you actually listen, you don't waste the guest's time or the listener's time. It's fun and educational. One sign of your moxie and smarts is you listen to and I laugh at all of Adam's jokes, but that's another podcast. Lest your head explodes with ego enhancement, this is all for now. Love you both.
I love my moxie and my smarts. I mean, I love that she comments on them. I love them as well. Once again, I'm in that find myself in that predicament that I find myself in when we do this, which is that I feel that I sound like an asshole gloating over the praise I've received. But what has to be done, and I'm not one to shirk any sort of iTunes Comment of the Week duty. So, listeners, if you would like to submit an iTunes Comment of the Week, or just an iTunes comment that might be an iTunes Comment of the Week, then leave us an iTunes comment and click 5 stars, and then maybe we'll read that. And encourage everyone you know, whether they listen or not, to leave us great comments, because that helps us stay, up on the iTunes thingamabob. I think that's the technical name. Anyway, also, I wanted to say a few words about some of our favorite sponsors, or actually about our sponsors, because they're all our favorites. Scorebig.com. Okay, let's say you want to go to a sporting event or a concert, musical, a play, any sort of thing like that, and it's sold out, and you're thinking to yourself, but I just know there's seats available, because the truth is there are always seats available when they say the thing is sold out. Scorebig.com is where you want to go first to get tickets. It's like Priceline, but for event tickets. You set the price, and they give you the tickets if they can do it at that price. And there's no upcharges, there's no service fees, there's nothing tacked on like some of those other ticket sites where you're like, oh, this is a good price, and then you look at your receipt and you're like, that is not a good price at all. What you enter in as what you want to pay is what you pay with Scorebig.com, and they are adding events all the time in real time. It's really it's an awesome service. Gary, do you want to add anything? Because you're the big sporting fan.
Yeah, they're absolutely excellent. I was messing around on the site the other day, and it's really cool. It's like, unlike some of their competitors where, people go up and put the prices, and you pick whether or not you want to do that, and then there's inevitably fees and all this other stuff, associated with it. On Scorebig, it's pretty cool because you just go in and you basically make an offer. Like, I'm willing to spend $45 for these tickets to this Dodger game, or I guess this season it would be the Lakers. And if they can do it, then they do it. And if you, bid on 2 seats at $45 a seat and they accept it, then instantly right there, you're done. Your credit card's charged for $90, and that includes the method of delivery. That includes everything. So you're always going to get at least 10% below face value, but oftentimes you can get a lot better than that. And they're constantly updating stuff, up to the minute. So if you look for something that you want to go to and it's not there, you can check back the next day, and there's a good chance it may be.
Go to scorebig.com and enter the code FRIEND at checkout. Friend, because I'm Alison Rosen, your new best friend. And get an extra $15 off scorebig.com's already low prices for your first order. Tickets on scorebig.com are always below box office price guaranteed. Don't forget to enter FRIEND at checkout and get an extra $15 off scorebig.com's already low prices for your first order. Also, let's talk about Stamps.com. If you have a small business, if you do a lot of stuff on eBay, so anything where you are sending a lot of stuff, you need Stamps.com because it allows you to save the time that you would spend going to the post office and think of all the time that you spend going to the post office. Don't even think about it. It's too depressing, actually, and you don't have to spend it anymore. With Stamps.com, you can print out official U.S. postage on your computer using your printer. With the scale that they give you, you will never pay more than you have to for postage, because we talk about it all the time. When I am sending in the old days before I had Stamps.com, when I was sending something, I would always throw on, if I didn't know how much postage to put on, I would always throw on a few extra stamps, because the thought of it coming back to me was too much to bear. I was like, I don't want, it's not worth it. I'm just going to put on extra postage. And I would do that every time. I was hemorrhaging money. Well, no more, because with Stamps.com, with the scale, you know exactly how much postage to put on your package. Never go to the post office again. Right now, I have a special offer where when you use my name, Allison, it's a no-risk trial, plus it's a $110 bonus offer, which includes the digital scale and up to $55 of free postage. Don't wait. Go to Stamps.com. Before you do anything else, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage and type in Allison. That's Stamps.com. Enter Allison. And as I've said before, these various sponsors, they are tracking who comes to them via this podcast. So that is why you have to use the promo codes that I'm telling you about, so that then they'll be like, oh, look, all these people are here from this podcast. That is wonderful. So, if you want to help us out and if you want to use a great product, then, you know what to do. Also, GoToMeeting. Gary and I love this. In this day and age, you do not have to actually physically meet face-to-face with the people that you work with, and you don't want to because you're busy being other places, getting stuff done, living your life. Perhaps you're in a hammock. You could be at a coffee house. You could be on vacation. You could be on a cruise ship. You could be at some far-flung exotic locale or some boring, mundane local locale such as your home. The point is you don't want to have to haul your buns into the office to meet with your coworkers, and you don't have to anymore. You can just meet with them on your computer, and you see each other in crystal clear HD quality. You can hear each other. You can collaborate on documents, and you can have a GoToMeeting from Citrix on your computer or your laptop or on your iPad. You can actually now host a meeting from your iPad, which is awesome. It is really the way of the future.
Yeah, it's really cool. That's a new update, the fact that you can start a meeting from your iPad. So it used to be that if you wanted to be the host and control everything, you'd have to lug your computer to wherever you were, and then people could join and be a part of the meeting from their iPad. But now you can actually just launch the entire thing and have full control, screen sharing, document sharing, stuff like that, all from your iPad itself. So that's a big upgrade, and this stuff is built for business, and it works.
Being able to, sorry, I cut you off. We'll get back to what you're saying, but being able to see each other face to face as you're talking helps you so much with your meeting as well, because there's so much information that you get just from being able to sort of see facial expressions, and it makes you feel like you really just hung out. I've said it before, and it makes me feel a little bit pathetic every time I say it, but I'm going to say it again. When Gary and I use GoToMeeting, afterwards, when I go back to just regular email, I feel a little bit lonely, and I think, I want to hang out again on the computer, which actually making coworkers want to hang out with you is no small feat. So thank you, GoToMeeting. It's powerfully simple. Start hosting your own face-to-face online meetings today with GoToMeeting. My listeners, that's you guys, can try it free for 30 days. Don't wait for this special offer. Visit GoToMeeting.com, click on the Try It Free button, and use the promo code Allison. Be sure to use the promo code Allison. And I remind you what I just said but moments ago, which is, they want to see who comes to them using the promo code Allison. So do it, you guys. Okay, you guys, this episode, the guest on this episode is none other than Paul F. Tompkins. I really enjoyed speaking with him. I enjoyed speaking with him so much that, guess what? This is a special 2-part episode. So check iTunes on Thursday for part 2. But here is part 1. I love you guys, and I will talk to you later.
Alison Rosen is your new best friend. Alison, with her the good times never end. Alison Rosen, doing the wavy pencil dance again. Alison's your new best friend.
Hey everyone, hi, hello, it's me, Alison Rosen, and welcome to another episode of Alison Rosen is Your New Best Friend. My guest today, I'm very excited, it's Paul F. Tompkins. Hello.
Alison, hello.
Hello.
I have never been introduced this quickly on a podcast, ever.
Really?
Yes.
I like to get, I used
Why
to
not?
I used to do the thing where I would make them sit there while I talked about a reaction I had to a song that was playing in the supermarket. For
Right.
real. I really did. But then I was like, no, I want their reaction to my reaction.
There you
and
go.
then I just thought, let's just bring them in now,
Right, life's
Why?
short.
Yeah, exactly.
What are we doing?
You drove all the way over here from, 15 minutes away? Or are you all the way
I live in
across town?
Alhambra.
Oh,
No,
okay.
I do not. No,
Wow.
I'm very close by.
Yeah, but still, you got all dressed up. Or is this casual for you?
This is I split the difference. I ask the D with a situation like this because I know that people often a photograph will be part of
That's
podcast
good.
posting.
A lot of people are surprised when that happens.
Oh yeah, I can't be caught out of my Paul F. Tompkins costume.
Now, for anyone who doesn't know, but I feel like if they don't know, then what rock have they been under? But for anyone who doesn't,
And they're already bored.
yeah, I know. They're like, I could have used 15 more minutes about the supermarket song. It was that God damn it, now I'm forgetting what song it was. Anyway, Gary, do you remember? It happened on the Mark Maron episode.
Yeah, I don't remember. I know what you're talking about, but I don't remember
This
the
would have
specific
been.
song.
I didn't want to derail so quickly.
Was it Auld Lang Syne by Dan Fogelberg?
But that one always gets me.
That's a quintessential grocery store song.
It really is.
And
No.
it's set in a grocery store.
I know. It's weird.
I'm sorry.
But really, what is up with the schmaltzy, sentimental music in your CVS? Or I don't want to become all introspective and more introspective and nostalgic than I already am when I'm trying to buy toiletries.
Yeah. Do you know what the thing
Why?
that always
Why?
gets me
Why do they do that?
I will never understand? Like I get that they're saying we want to have something in here so it's not just the dead air of life and you're walking around the drugstore
Right.
and you're going to kill yourself.
Yeah.
So we'll put in some music. And we have to have something that's as inoffensive as possible and it's just wallpaper, oral wallpaper. But what I don't understand is when there's like Muzak versions of Billy Joel songs.
Mm-hmm.
Like what he's ready to go. Like there's nobody that's like, "Oh, what's this?" I don't need this rock and roll playing while I'm trying to buy my legs pantyhose or whatever.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know. It just became, now it's just a thing that you expect to hear. And it's weird when you hear like sort of more modern or even slightly edgier fare.
Yeah. Well, I remembered. It was Lady Antebellum's Need You Now, and it was always playing in Gelson's. And I don't mean to suggest I am a frequent Gelson's shopper, but I did go through a Gelson's phase.
I enjoy Gelson's.
I do, but it's too expensive.
It is. It's very dear,
sometimes.
as they say.
Do they say that?
That's a British thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you travel? Are there Brits in your circle?
No, but I like to pretend that there are. And
Okay.
I certainly want people to think that about me.
You know, I feel like my British references needs a dusting off because I would just go with like boot or lift, and those are or glove box, and those are like
Right.
that's like your father's British references.
Now, what you're saying, what I just busted out, these are not your father's British references.
They're not.
Yeah.
They're in your face. They're extreme.
You couldn't use these references at a grocery store.
Hell no.
People would get upset.
Right.
Yeah.
I know. But anyway, but before all that, what I was going to say was, for anyone who doesn't know, Paul F. Tompkins is renowned. I would go so far as to say, maybe,
Sure,
for
maybe.
always being Natalie dressed. That's kind of a British reference.
Yes.
Natalie is British, is it not?
I
A natty
think
dresser.
I bet it is. Natty. He's very natty.
The thing about Natty, and maybe this is cliche, is that it sounds like cruddy. I mean, I
doesn't
used
sound
to think,
positive.
No,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
I used to think that if someone was a natty dresser, that's pejorative.
Too close to nasty,
Yes.
perhaps.
Yeah.
Why are they so close to each other?
I
They're
know.
one letter away from each other.
Whose fault is it?
I'm glad we're getting into this and
I've been
breaking
wanting
it
to
open.
blow the lid off of it for a long time. You do not even know. Anyway, you're very well put together. And in fact, you came
Thank
up
you.
on a recent episode of my show with Jesse Thorne, and he was talking about menswear. And he
Yes,
mentioned
he
you as someone who
recently-
appreciates the pocket square.
Indeed, he recently got into the schmata business, Jesse Thorne.
Yeah.
As he's become a man, he's become interested in men's in adult men's clothing.
Is that how you define it? I mean, do you just feel like a man among boys?
You know, I don't. I feel like what I think is great about the time in which we live is that people can dress however they want, and that's kind of the way it should be.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I never ever think everyone should be dressing like me. I wish I lived in the '40s or whatever.
Right.
You know? Like I don't.
You're
I
not a
don't
fashion
wear.
fascist.
No, and I don't even wear vintage clothes. Like what I like to wear is stuff that's just like kind of timeless styles, you know. And it was a weird thing for me a handful of years ago when I said, okay, I'm approaching my 40s. I'm going to start dressing for the rest of my life. I'm going to start wearing like super grown-up clothes.
Do you just hate shopping? You're like, I'm going to shop once and be done with it.
No, it's not.
Because that I can
It's
get
not like Jeff
behind.
Goldblum in The Fly, where I have 8 of the same thing. No, I really love clothes a lot, and I still shop probably too much. But I like simple stuff, and I also like very unusual stuff. There's not a lot of middle ground with me. But I don't wear jeans anymore. You know, there was a point where I realized that I'm not a jeans guy, and I don't miss them. And
Had you been just trying to live in a jeans world before?
I was in a jeans purgatory for quite some time.
so
I had like
sorry.
a couple pairs of jeans and I would wear them occasionally, and then after a while it was like, this just doesn't feel like me, and I think I look dumb in these. Other people can pull them off, but I'm not one of those people.
It's interesting. There are certain people who just don't want to wear jeans. They just say no. And they're the
Yeah.
anomaly, as opposed to the fact that the rest of us are walking around in the same kind of pants.
Right. Well, but look, jeans have exploded.
They sure have.
You have your choice of jean these days.
Yes, you do.
It is not like in Levi Strauss's day.
No.
when
Or
everyone
even Mr. Wrangler.
Yeah, everyone. Mr. Wrangler. Joseph Wrangler.
Yeah.
When he came to this country from Wranglevania.
Right. With just super thick thread
That's
that was yellow,
right.
a grommet, and a dream.
His enormous pockets. That's right. Yeah, it's but yeah, I do not judge other people by the way they dress.
So, but even well, this is what I was trying to ask before, though, and
let's
clearly
get into it.
it's so articulate, it's coming out, it's tripping off my tongue.
Sometimes the emotions get all tangled up. And you're like, how do I get this thought
I
out?
know. Yeah. So just bear with me, if you will.
Of course, I'm not going anywhere, Allison.
Would anyone ever see you in a non-Paul F. Tompkins outfit? Because you were joking that you have to dress up because there might be a photo. But I'm saying, is there a secret sweatpants F. Tompkins going on?
I go to the gym every day. I go to the YMCA. It's as plain as you please, and I wear regular old gym clothes. And when I run into people that I know when I'm in my gym clothes, I have had people that I've known for years walk past me because it did not compute in their brains. Because I have, a t-shirt and shorts and a ball cap on, and they just walk right past me. Yeah.
Does that make you feel liberated?
In a way. Well, I will. It
Or
depends.
invisible.
Some people I've stopped and said, "Hey, it's me." Some people I've let them go.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a very strange thing because you're not walking around in your mind thinking, I don't look like me, but you might not look like yourself.
Well, see, interestingly, I went through a phase, or actually I've spent my life thinking that if I don't have on makeup, people won't recognize me, except that now I don't wear makeup a lot more often, so I've been broken of that ridiculous thought. But yeah, I've had this silly notion on and off for years that if I have one thing different, maybe people won't recognize the people that I know. But I think that's silly. Except here you are,
It's a
and you have
security
changed
thing.
something.
Yeah. Well, what have I changed?
Well, no, I mean when you're at the gym,
Oh,
you're
yes.
not wearing your clothes.
Yes,
People
yes,
aren't.
yes.
People are just breezing by you.
Yeah. I've only in my life ever known one woman who looked completely different without makeup.
Who?
This is somebody I knew a long time ago, and it was astonishing. I only ever saw her one time without makeup. She was a performer, and we were at a rehearsal for the show that we were doing, and I could not believe it. I could not believe it.
Was she someone that you thought was wearing a ton of makeup in daily life, though?
I never
it like
really
an
thought
eyebrow
about it.
thing,
I knew
or-
that she wore makeup, and I knew that she liked makeup, and she liked dressing up fancy and stuff like that, and I liked to add a lot of crazy accessories and this and that. But I never. I guess I did not realize how much makeup was going on
Right.
there. It was pretty wild.
So Paul F. Tompkins.
Listen, I'm full of great stories like that.
I can't wait. I cannot wait to get into them. You're from Philadelphia, yes?
Yes, I am.
How did you get into show business? But before you answer that, what was your family like? I feel like I know this, but I'm forgetting.
You probably do.
I feel like I've heard it, is what I'm saying.
Everyone's
what I
heard
mean
about
to
my
say.
family.
I mean, all your material is based on that, is it not?
When I'm the family comedian.
Yeah, that's right.
Maybe when I was on Adam's show, I might have gotten into it. I come from a big family. I have 3 sisters and 2 brothers. We were raised Catholic. My father's Irish. My mother's Italian. So it was a big, loud family. Everybody's funny. I'm the only person that pursued that professionally. But we're a funny group of people. They really make me laugh a lot. And I got into show business. I always wanted to do comedy, but I had no idea how to go about it. And a friend of mine who was a couple years older than me had gone to college in Arizona and started stand up there. And he came back, and I was graduating high school, and he said, "Do you want to get an act together?" And that was it. It never, like, I didn't know about open mics. I didn't know about anything like that at all. And probably it was better. I don't know how long it would have taken me to do it on my own, because I was a very fear-based individual, and it was still very scary to go up for the first time, even with somebody else there. But it was, but that was it. And then I got hooked on it.
And then what happened?
Me and that guy were.
And is that guy is he still doing it?
No, he's no longer with us. He went to. We were together for about a year and a half, and then, as happens with a lot of comedy duos, we got sick of each other, and we split up, and then became friends again. And then he went on to Chicago to do improv, and ended up being one of the people on the scene when the Upright Citizens Brigade was forming. And then I started doing a solo act probably a month after he and I stopped performing together, because I just needed to get back on stage, and I just loved it so much. It just felt like, it was one of those things where as soon as I started doing it, I realized, well, this is for the rest of my life. There's no way I can't not do this.
And you were what, like 18 around that time?
17 years old.
17. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. But you did have fear surrounding it?
Oh yeah. It was I am the only thing that I fear really is the unknown, which covers a lot of things.
It really does, unless you know a lot of everything.
Yeah, but I've gotten better at knowing. Oh, okay, like knowing that. So any kind of experience or any sort of thing like that. That I'm going into, and I have a lot of fear about it. I realize, it's just because you haven't done this before, and once you have, you will have done it, and it'll never be that weird again. Which has by and large been absolutely true.
Well, so then it sounds like you have a healthy outlook, and you face your fears for the most part. Are there ever times
I try to make myself face my fears?
Are there ever times where the fear is just too much? And you're like, I don't want to do that.
Yes,
and you don't.
The human mind is capable of great self-deceit, and I feel like there's many times that I've caught myself, like, I didn't do that because I was too scared to do it. I was afraid of, whatever reaction I was going to get. It comes up a lot in stand-up, where I have to. To me, it's all about challenging yourself. And the only thing that's holding you back from doing that is you're afraid the reaction it's going to get. You're afraid that because this is outside of my comfort zone, I won't know how to do it right, and then the audience will hate me forever. But it's in making myself broaden my artistic horizons in that way that I've never regretted. It's always been nothing but good. But it's still a thing that gives me pause. When I have an idea in my head, I'm like, I don't know how to make that funny, so I'm not even going to try. And that's a letdown when I realize I've been thinking that.
So what was your first real showbiz job? I know you wrote for Bob and David, and you were in that, right? Okay.
That was it. Yeah. I had been doing. I'd come here in 1994 and had gotten into sketch comedy with a bunch of really creative people who arrived here all around the same time from San Francisco and Chicago, and it was people that were improvisers and stand-ups, and everybody kind of found each other, and we were all performing at this place called the Diamond Club on Hollywood Boulevard, which is not, it's something else now. But we were just doing anything. It was super experimental and crazy and sloppy, and everybody was just doing just ridiculous stuff. And
at that point, how did you like improv versus stand-up?
Improv was still a ways away from me because this was written sketch, written and rehearsed, and and that was new to me at the time, and that was something that I loved. Like I grew up on. Certainly SNL and Monty Python, but SCTV was my favorite thing in the world. Like, nothing made me laugh like that.
Did Rich Hall come out of that? Or no, he was not necessarily the news.
Yes,
right?
And then he went on to do SNL for a little bit, and then became an expat, like lives in London or something, and
I was a Sniglets fan back in the day.
Who wasn't?
I feel like you're right, but I feel like does Gary know what Sniglets are?
I do not know what a sniglet is.
Get out of my face.
A lot of people don't.
I know.
A lot of people don't.
It's sad.
Yeah.
Let's keep it our secret.
I did It's our secret, Allison. Okay. Gary, you have to cut this part out.
That's right.
We can't let people know about Snickers.
And then destroy
I'll
it.
get it out.
Thank
We'll
you.
get it clean.
Thank you very much. Get it clean. But yeah, so I started doing sketch stuff, and that led to a sketch show that I did with Jay Johnston, who was another Mr. Show guy, led us to get hired on that show. And that was my first big break. And I still remember how freaked out I was by the idea that it was happening. Like, Bob and Dave took us out to dinner to say they wanted to hire us for the show. And so they opened with that, and then we started talking about sketches, like plotting out the season, and I was like losing my mind. I was like, is this really happening? Or I didn't know if I should believe it or not, because it couldn't be that easy, and I will just never, I don't know that I've ever had an experience like that since that's comparable to that, where it was just pure emotion. Just like I was losing my mind, and I had to sit there and pretend like this was all normal, But yeah, that was an amazing night.
And how old were you at that point?
That point, I was 25 or 26, something like that. Yeah.
And then what was the next big thing? Was it like Best Week Ever, or?
There was a few things in between. I did a couple of pilots. Oh, I did a sitcom for a year. Called DAG, David Allen Greer and Delta Burke.
We love DAG here.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the person, not the sitcom.
Oh, we might love that, but I meant David Allen Greer.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was.
I don't know how I feel about the sitcom.
No, you probably know that you have no feelings about it because you probably did not see it.
Exactly.
There you go. And there's no shame in that. It came and went very quickly. I don't even know if all the episodes aired. But that was a great experience. I'd never done that before. It was a multi-camera sitcom, and it was nothing but fun.
And you were
I was one of the
characters?
regulars. Yeah. And it was a blast, and I made friends for life. And it was, that schedule is the best, where you go in and you read the script one day and you rehearse a little bit, knowing that things are going to change, so we don't have to get married to anything. Rewrites come in and you kind of block and rehearse all week long, and then Friday comes and you do a show in front of a live audience, and it's a blast. It's like doing a little play every week, and and it's nice, and you get to be home for dinner, 4 nights out of 5, and it's really amazing. So that was my next big thing, and then. After that, I think another couple pilots. I did a sketch show called Kelsey Grammer Presents the Sketch Show, which was based on a British show, and we shot it in London. It was me and Marilyn Rice-Cub from 24, and Caitlin Olsen from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and an actor called Malcolm Barrett, who was on... I don't know if he's on a regular thing these days. He was on Better Off Ted, a short-lived ABC sitcom, and a British guy named Lee Mack, very funny comedian. And that was a crazy experience. Spent 2 months living in London and working on this really insane show that just was so British that it just because it was all one line. Well, it was all like blackout gags, so it would be like a quick setup and then a punchline and then usually a pun, which was really tough for me because I'm not a fan. And then on to the next thing. It was like there was almost a laugh-in kind of thing, like really quick, bang, 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 bang.
Did you think it was funny?
No.
That's what's coming through. I just want to make sure I'm reading that correctly.
What's really strange is one can develop a sort of Stockholm syndrome about the project that they're working on because it's a survival technique. It also helps you do a better job because you want to believe in it.
Yeah.
So you find something to say, you know what, this isn't that bad, and actually this is good. What we're doing in this, but this was just like stuff that it was so outside of the stuff that I thought was funny, and it just.
This was Kelsey Grammer, or was that?
That was his production company.
Okay.
Yes. Hence the Kelsey Grammer
Right.
Presents. Very grand title.
I thought maybe he was actually hosting it, but in the British way, presenting it.
No, he was in, I think he was in the first episode and he was in the last episode. And that was it. And we shot in London for 2 months and then came home. And then the next day we had to be on a lot here in Los Angeles at 7 a.m. to reshoot some of the sketches with Mr. Grammer because he hadn't decided yet which sketches he wanted to appear in, and so he left it until then. So, coming back from a transatlantic flight, it would have been nice to sleep in on that day. But we got up and reshot some sketches we'd already done with Kelsey Grammer.
Sounds fun. Now, do you happen to remember?
You know what, though? I got to say, it still was fun. Like, I still look back on that experience with nothing but fondness, and I'm so grateful that I had that experience. Like, as much as I can give Kelsey Grammer a hard time for making us get up so early the day after we got back from London, it was, again, like, great people, and I got to live in London for 2 months, and and now I got a story to tell about this dumb sketch show that I was in.
Do you happen to remember an example of any of the puns?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, good.
Here is one. I don't know if this counts as a pun. It's sort of a visual pun in a way. I'm sitting at a diner counter, and I'm having a cup of coffee, and I have two huge black eyes. And
it's funny already.
Yes, my cast member Malcolm, my castmate, is sitting next to me, and he says, "Hey, were you in a fight?" And I say, "No, my dad's a panda." The end. That was the sketch. That was the sketch.
That is wow.
Yeah. There you go.
So it was just like fast one-liners like that?
Yeah. And occasionally,
it just sounds like a lot of setup of production for each thing.
Yes. Oh, yes, it was. And we burned through this material so quick, like the original material from the British show, because their TV seasons are 6 episodes, So we burned through all of that stuff. And there was a few things that were just like, let's not do this one.
Right.
And then there was stuff that just didn't.
But then we're going to have a hole of 30 seconds.
Yeah, 30 seconds. And then there was other stuff that just didn't make sense to American audiences, and there was no way to adapt it. So then we started writing our own sketches, and writing in that style was really difficult. And it was tough because we were all, by the time we started writing our own stuff, we were all exhausted because the schedule was pretty brutal, because there were so many setups that we were shooting. It was like you were rushing around all the time, and it was long days, and then we'd be shooting on location, and we'd be like on the beach in the rain and pretending that it was sunny out, and stuff like that. So by the time it was, okay, we need more material, so if you want to write stuff for yourself, because Lee Mack, the British guy, he had all these longer sketches that were like these character pieces for himself that he did, and none of us had any of those, And towards the end, it was just like, I can't think of a long form sketch. All I can think of is this stuff.
Right.
So we would write more of this stuff, and they would say, well, we have the submarine set all built, so if you have any more submarine sketches. I'm like, all right, I'm going to crank out some submarine sketches.
The good thing is if you don't use them on that show, you can always just keep them and use them on something else, right?
Exactly. So yeah, it was an experience. It was a rich experience because it encompassed everything.
It sounds like. And then what?
That was 2004, and then I think then it was I had started working on Best Week Ever already in the multi-panelist format that it started out with, and in fact I participated in an episode from London, and then I think I did another pilot in between Kelsey Grammer Presents and when Best Week Ever changed their format to the hosted format, and then that's when I took over.
Yeah, and how did that work? Like, how did you become the main guy?
Thanks to a couple of the writers who really liked me a lot. They had been looking to make a sort of companion piece to Best Week Ever, and they assigned these two people to create the pilot, because in those days it was all about the corporate mandate was vertical integration. We're going to, and it still kind of is, although I think they're too embarrassed to use that term anymore in front of other people. But it's all about, we got to get people to go to our website. So this was going to be a show that would come after Best Week Ever, and then somehow through jokes we're going to drive people to the VH1 website, and and the show and the website would be linked together. So it was going to be
Like iCarly. This is a
exactly
verticalist
like iCarly.
integrated
it's
show.
It's the most vertically integrated show.
It's just a line, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly like iCarly. And we were ahead of our time. This was when iCarly was just a gleam in Nickelodeon's eye. So we did this pilot, and then whoever was in charge of VH1 at the time, or Viacom or whoever desperately wanted this thing to happen, said, "Oh, just make that the show. That should be," because because Best Week Ever's ratings, always kind of stayed in the same place, and they were like, "We might as well shake it up," and so they made me the host of Best Week Ever.
That must have been exciting.
It was absolutely thrilling, and I couldn't believe that it was happening, and it seemed like this is going to be a perfect situation because I've already been a part of this show, and I get to move to New York City, and I get to work with these people that I know and like, and they're big fans of mine. So this is going to be great. And assuming, well, like everyone that works there is a big fan of mine, right? They must be, or this wouldn't be happening.
Certainly, it's unanimous.
Yes, and then realizing honestly, it wasn't even about me. It was about people. A lot of people that worked there didn't like the change in format. Some people were all on board with it, and they were excited about the new direction. And some people didn't like things changing for them, and they were like, I just wish it was the old way,
Was it that there was suddenly more work for them, or different work, or was
I
it
think
strictly...
it was different.
Okay.
I think it was that it was different, and it had gotten into... I mean, that show in the old days was kind of put together, honestly, in the editing room. It really was who said the shortest, pithiest thing that we can, so we can fit all of the jokes on this package in before the break, and then it changed. It became a much more written show, and then I think that things were problems arose that just hadn't been problems before, and rewrites happened that weren't asked for before, and it was not as smooth a transition as I assumed that it was going to be.
Mm-hmm. And how long did you host it?
For a year.
Oh, it was only a year.
Yeah.
I thought it was longer.
No, it was just a year. Just a year, and then it was all over.
And then it because it seems like when Best Week Ever ended, it seemed like it was sort of, I don't know, okay, on the bubble is a phrase that I do not quite understand what it means, and yet I'm going to use it anyway.
Right.
Gary and I have had discussions of the phrase on the bubble, and...
Have you reached any conclusions?
I think he thinks he knows what it means. And I think he probably does, but I don't think it has to do with level.
Do you mean if a television show is perfectly situated on the ground? Like, is it on
well, we're just
solid
where's
flat
the
ground?
bubble coming from,
I think the idea is that, Gary, would you like to say?
I think what Allison was alluding to was my argument was that it's like a level on, like a carpenter's level, if, when it's right in the middle. So if it's on the bubble, it's right in the middle. It's, it could go either way.
No.
Okay.
On the bubble refers to the fragility of that show's existence. You do not want to be on any bubbles because a bubble could pop at any moment.
Well, then
that
why?
makes way more sense.
Yeah. Why? On God's green earth, is it not on a bubble? Why is that the bubble?
That's a good question.
That's right. I don't mean to bring my investigative journalism chops to this show.
Look,
but
you're a regular David Gregory over there, holding my feet to the fire.
That's right.
I think it's because it's more definitive and it sounds less celebratory. On a bubble is almost like I'm on a cloud.
Yeah, you're right. Like we're having some champagne.
You're on the bubble.
Yeah. Oh, this makes so much sense because, see, we were also talking about the fact that it's often used in showbiz.
Mm-hmm. Is it ever used out of show business?
In sports, it's used as well.
Oh, okay.
And I think maybe in gambling. That now I'm just mentioning things that came up in my internet search of On the Bubble, but I forget basically what it said. I just know that sports and gambling also use it. Maybe it's a different bubble.
When do they use it with sports?
With sports, it's like if it like refers to getting into the playoffs and stuff like that. Like if a team is on the bubble and it's not there, they don't control their own fate. It's whether another team wins or loses.
Yes, that makes sense too. That's slightly different, but it's the same
But
idea.
I think your popping analogy still works.
Yeah,
Because
well,
the
'cause
bubble
it's-
could pop, and it's not up to you.
Yeah,
When's the
exactly.
bubble? But when's the bubble ever not going to pop? In that, I mean, just imagine you're standing on a bubble, the
Right,
bubble,
right,
if you will. You're never getting off of it.
But a bubble can rise and rise and rise until it's so high that when it pops, it's out of view and everything's fine. So, like a show that's a long-running show might. Well, hold on a second. Now we're getting lost in this because a long-running show is not on the bubble because it's
could
doing
be.
fine.
Yeah.
But yes, a bubble. Yes, for our purposes, a bubble always.
Thank you for
pops.
grounding
Or
this.
it
Yeah.
might, I don't
well,
know.
so
You know
then
what
this
I
actually
mean.
works. I thought Best
Yeah.
Week Ever was on the bubble. No, I hate the phrase. For a while, right?
Meaning that the ratings were just kind of they were
I had-
okay. They were acceptable.
What I mean by that is it wasn't like all of a sudden, to me, knowing people, like working in the industry but not being, right there.
Right.
It wasn't like all of a sudden it was gone. It was like I had heard that it might be gone or it might be there or it might be gone or it might be there. Like there was a lot of...
They never said that. I don't think they ever said that it was canceled.
Okay.
I don't think they told us privately, like, yeah, this is the end.
Right.
But they never made an announcement that said Best Week Ever is canceled. It's on hiatus. Mm-hmm. And so apparently it's coming back from hiatus and they're rebooting it and
Yeah, currently, you mean? Yes, that I have heard.
Yeah. So it's back from vacation.
Right.
Yes.
Are you involved in the redo of it?
No, I am not.
Okay, then that makes me happy that I auditioned and didn't get it.
No. You auditioned and did not get it?
Mm-hmm. Want to know why?
Why?
And with the caveat that as I'm saying this, I feel like maybe I shouldn't be saying this. This might go the way of that other thing we had to cut out earlier. We didn't. We joked we were going to cut something out. We
It wasn't
didn't
because
actually
of
cut
Sniglets.
anything out.
That wasn't
What?
a joke to me.
No. They wanted more like set up punchline, and I'm a little too cerebral, I think
Yeah.
is the nice word
Yeah.
that they used for it.
I think they learned maybe they learned a lesson from the last time, which is you were allowed to, as a panelist, you were allowed to kind of meander until you found your joke.
Mm-hmm.
Because here's why. It didn't make any difference. Like, I would go in there prepared, stuff written down, like ready to go, pithy, perfect little things, and feel really good about it. Like, I'm one of the regulars on the show, and I really delivered solid. All this stuff is ready to use. And then I would find myself hardly in the show, and then there would be stuff on there that's like some people that they're barely even jokes, but for whatever reason that fit their time frame or their however they wanted to mix it up or whatever. So then it's like, well, I'm not gonna, for the amount of money that I'm getting paid and the amount of exposure that I may or may not get, I might as well just have as much fun as I can going in. So then I went back to just kind of riffing and finding it in the moment, and that was my method. That was other people's method, I know for sure. But now I'm sure that they're saying, well, we're not going to fall prey to that again.
Well, at least not in the very beginning.
Yeah, 'cause
I mean,
we
like,
don't-
that was kind of the
well,
sense was,
yes.
we like her, but
Yeah.
Now, granted, this is all coming through my agent, who is putting a positive spin on it. For all I know, they were like, Alison, bleh!
No, I would not doubt
Popped a
at
bunch
all.
of bubbles that I was standing on. I was
Oh,
like,
you didn't use that term in there, did you?
no, I didn't. No,
Did you
I
use
wasn't ready.
Sniglets?
No, no, I feel like I should have, just to show that I can speak to the youth that's now old.
The youth of 1982.
Exactly. Exactly. No, I didn't make any Sniglet reference. For anyone who doesn't know, I feel like we just need to break it to them. 'Cause it'll just,
yes.
I don't want.
Let's break it to them.
I don't want this episode to be about Sniglets as opposed to about Paul F. Tompkins. I'm preventing Sniglets from upstaging you.
Could you title it, the episode, Sniglets, and then parentheses, Paul F. Tompkins?
So tempted.
I wouldn't.
like I could.
I wouldn't be upset if you did.
And then if I ever got Rich Hall to come into this country and be on this show, it would be like I had started planting the seeds. Anyway, Sniglets are made-up words, like things that need words to
Yes.
describe them, but there is no word for them. And I think Sniglets was the term for on shoelaces, the hard little things.
Aglets.
Aglets?
Those are called aglets.
In real life?
Yes, in real
Oh,
life.
well, they're called Sniglets in Sniglets.
How dare you?
I'm sorry.
No, I mean Rich Hall.
Yeah. How dare you?
Do your research, pre-internet comedian.
And then also Wondricide is when you spread cold butter on bread and it
That's a good one.
Gets holes in it.
Here's the one I remember is Cheetle, which
Yes!
is the residue that's left on
That's
your fingers
right.
after you eat Cheetos.
That's right. And
Guys, listen, young people, look this stuff up.
find them. It came in those books. I don't even know if they make books in this shape anymore.
Those rectangular
yes, but
paperback
long,
books.
sort of
yes.
like your Garfield comics might have, if you got them in
Exactly.
book form.
Exactly.
Also in that shape.
Yes.
Do they make that shape book anymore? I feel like it's hard to find one
I
of
would
those.
wager that they still do. I feel like I've seen it not too long ago, like at
All
a
right.
bookstore counter or in somebody's home.
I stand corrected then.
That is by no means a definitive statement. Do not hold me to that. Look, I know I have to be crystal clear on the record on this show.
Listen, if I go into a bookstore and I don't find any books that are that shape, I'm going to take a photo of every single shelf from 2 angles
All right.
and send it to you.
All right. I like that the burden of proof is on you.
I know. Well, it would have to be. No, wait a minute.
Hold on a
You're
second.
right.
Yeah.
You should have to go to the bookstore. It would save a lot of.
I will say the burden of proof is
Info.
on me, but the burden of disproof is on you.
Okay, I can agree to that. I can agree to those terms. So, is Best Week Ever the thing that you are most recognized for? Because what always surprises me about those shows is like
In a weird-
everyone
yeah.
watches them.
In a weird way, I don't think that it is. I don't know. It's kind of a mishmash of Best Week Ever and Tenacious D and Mr. Show and it's all the stuff that still exists, especially Tenacious D and Mr. Show in DVD and YouTube clips and stuff like that. So that Best Week Ever, I think I don't know how much that raised my personal profile. It's hard to say because I don't feel like I hear it that often. Usually people say to me, if I meet people after a show or something, I've been a fan of yours since Mr. Show or whatever. The most thing, honestly, the thing that I get the most is from podcasts.
That's great.
Honestly, that's what it is. Like more than ever, people come up to me if I do a live show somewhere. And I meet people from the audience afterwards. They will say, "I first heard about you on, Never Not Funny or Comedy Bang Bang or something like that." And it's more than anything now these days.
And is it from like, do they do the thing where they hear you talk and then they're like, "Wait a minute, are you?" Or do you think they visually know what you look like before?
No, I think it's people that got turned on to me through this and then looked up my stuff and then at some point did some sort of Google search about what I look like.
Right.
There has been the occasion where someone came to see a show of mine in Charleston, South Carolina, and I got to the venue before it opened, and so I had to wait for somebody to come unlock the door, and so some audience members joined me, and we were sitting waiting for the door to open, and so I'm talking with this couple. It's a man and a woman, and they at some point referred to me in the third person. And I thought it was odd, and then it happened again. And I was like, that's me, right? Because they were asking me. It was sort of like they were talking to me as if we were all on the same page that we were going to see Paul F. Tompkins, and the woman said, "Oh my God, no! I had no idea what you looked like. I'm a big fan of yours." And she said she loved my podcast, but I had no idea what you looked like. And then the guy said, "And I have night blindness, so your face is just a blur to me." So,
Wow.
Yeah,
How
so
did
that
you
was a
react
new
to
one on
that?
me. I loved it. I was delighted.
No, I'm just saying in the moment when someone tells you they have night blindness.
Yeah, that was a new one on me. Because I've never been sure what I've heard of that, but I've never been sure what you can or cannot see
Right.
when
Now you
when the
know.
night descends and your
Exactly.
vision is robbed from you.
I wonder if he gets up really early to make the most of the daylight. Speaking of, I was listening to the Pod F Tomcast, which I love the name.
Thank you.
Did that just pop into your head, or what's the story with that?
It was a variation on something that my wife came up with after Best Week Ever got canceled. She said, "You should have your own. You should get another show like that on another network and call it Pop F Culture with Paul F. Tompkins." And which I really liked a lot. That stuck with me. And then when I started the podcast, I just switched it up a little bit.
Well, I was listening to Pod F Tomcast, and Jen Kirkman was talking about how she belonged to a pool.
Yes.
And there was a whole story which was very funny and which I related to a lot. But here's the part that I couldn't get past. She goes to the pool at 9 a.m. I was like, that just sounds early to me.
It's early for a pool. Yeah.
It's early for a person.
Yeah.
If you're me.
That
Have I just become super lazy? I mean, I realize a lot of people are up that early. I'm not.
I get up early, but it
Would you go
doesn't
to a
seem like
pool?
a fun time to go to the pool. I don't know.
No.
But I guess her point was that hardly anybody's there. And that's why it's an ideal time. But it still seems a little, I don't know.
I wish I could be the kind of person who would like get up before everyone else and do stuff and take advantage of. Like, I just feel like, the earth is mine at this time. But I'm not.
It's a good feeling. What time do you typically rise, may I ask?
Yes, you may. I normally get up between 9 and 10.
Okay, that's not bad.
What time do you get up?
I am in the habit of rising at 6 a.m.
Well, look at you.
And here's what I do.
Okay.
I have the house to myself while my wife is still asleep, which I kind of love. There's something that's very homey and secure feeling about that, that she is tucked away in the bed, and then I'm sort of watching over the house. Sometimes I feel that way because she also goes to bed before I do. She likes to sleep.
Okay. I like that.
She loves it, and but
How many hours
she's
does she get a
able
night?
to do it. She gets typically 8 hours, but I think she's not asleep the whole time I'm up in the morning. I think she's waking up and then she lays in bed for a little bit. But I rocket out of bed as soon as I wake up.
Right, to guard the house and her.
Yes. That's exactly right. From morning intruders.
Right. That's when they usually intrude.
Yeah, from these crooks who are trying to rob us on their way to the pool.
Exactly.
So I will get up at 6 and have my breakfast and watch the news, and then I'll go to the gym, and then she'll be awake by the time I get back, and she's having her breakfast and coffee and everything. But I never used to be. I mean, certainly being a comedian, I was never a morning person. And then I got into the habit of it. I guess when I started working on Best Week Ever, was the first regular gig that I had after I started exercising, and it was just a necessity of like, if I want to get this in before I go to work, I'll have to do it. It didn't make any difference because I was stress eating so much at the time that I was
putting back the calories you were burning up in the morning.
That's right. And then some. And then I was still making myself get up in the morning and be miserable. And I was not going to a pool.
What gym were you going
like
to?
it.
I used to live in New York.
I had one of those buildings that had a gym in the basement.
You lucky.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe not, because that's kind of like a prison gym situation. If it's in the basement, it could be.
In a weird way. You are at the mercy of, the other people in the gym.
Oh, I wasn't really referring to rape.
Nor was I.
Okay.
I did not mean to tell a story that did not happen to me. More in terms of some people might crank that music up to an insane degree.
And I just meant the windowless sort of oppressive, small
but most
situation.
Most gyms are kind of, you're lucky if you can get near a window, right? I mean, there's a lot.
The shitty gym I belonged to in New York first was called Synergy. And
what a great gym name.
Vertical integration was taken. So
as was Sniglets.
Yeah, exactly. Sniglets gym. That'd be fun.
You know what? I would go to that gym.
No, do you have a little weight doodads or whatever? Like there'd be names for all those things. And all the elliptical and treadmill machines were in front of these big picture windows.
Right.
The kind of gym where when you're walking by, you
Yes.
look up and you're like, who are those people who are all working out?
So you're up a level.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then
which I think is designed to make the people down below feel bad.
I think so.
That they're supposed to see like, oh, look, those people are doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then New York Sports Club, and that also had the window situation, but not all of them did. But then the few gyms that I've been to in LA, they don't have the big windows.
No.
They have the more prison-style gym minus the rape, because that's not what we're talking about.
This is someone else's story.
Yeah.
But yeah, there at the Y that I go to, there's one big window, and it's one of those, it's a studio room where they have exercise classes, and it's always some weird dance thing. It's always like, it's belly dancing or it's
right. There's a name.
Jazzercise
Yeah.
or whatever. Yeah, there's always some.
What is that? I'm trying to remember the name of that, dancing workout thing that I did a couple times that then I was like, I'm not even breaking a sweat. I'm just too good. I'm simply too good for this. What the hell? There's like some Middle Eastern dancing that happens during it. It was like something that everyone was not
Right.
Rumba.
Zumba.
Thank you.
Was it really called Zumba?
Zumba. It sounds like
Wow.
Roomba.
It does.
But it's just where
It sounds like you're-
menopausal ladies
You're acting like a Roomba
rock
in a zoo.
out. Yes.
Mimic the actions. But that could be a thing because remember they were doing like the firefighters workout. They
Yeah.
were just taking people's jobs and making it into a workout.
Ooh, what would a podcaster's workout be?
You're looking at it.
Well, okay, so you obviously like lost a bunch of weight at some point
Yes.
and got all fit as a fiddle.
They're thereabouts.
I don't even, what does that mean when you think about it? I know what that means, but our fiddles particularly. Oh, I guess because it's like the hourglass kind of.
I think it also
Know what I
has
mean?
to be the structural integrity of the fiddle has a bearing on its sound. And so if you were fit as a fiddle should be.
Stradivarius.
That's why they call me Stradivarius because I
Makes
know what that
sense.
expression means.
Exactly.
It's actually kind of a waste of a nickname. There's other people that would probably be better
Right,
served.
right. So when did this happen? This whole new you? When did you turn over the leaf?
It's been a work in progress. It's been a gradual thing. When I was working on Mr. Show, that was my first time working in an office like that, in a creative office. And I didn't realize the level of anxiety and the availability of
Carbs.
sugary snacks and carbs at the same time. And it was crazy. And I gained a bunch of weight. And at the height of it, I was a little over 200 pounds, which, and I should point out, I'm not 6'2".
But you have a 6'2" bearing and carriage.
Look, I wasn't fishing, but I like what I caught. What I'm saying is that's a
Are
lot
you?
of weight on a guy my size.
How tall are you?
5'9".
Okay.
Yeah, that's too much. So I have been gradually winnowing myself away until this year. I'd gotten tired of losing weight and then gaining a little bit back. I was just like, I just got to do this. I just got to do this. And I did a very healthy, regimented diet, and I exercised every day, and I lost 25 pounds. And the lesson I learned from that is that's the way it's got to be. Is that if you want to
Painful and disciplined.
Well, it doesn't have to be so painful because I did get to the point where actually I got to that thing that you hope you will get to is that after I went to the gym, I felt good. I felt like, yes, I really did something and I have energy and food has always been a weird thing for me. And I made after I quit smoking in 2006, I made myself like vegetables. Like I made myself eat and develop a taste for healthier foods because I just couldn't live the way that I was living. And so now it's not so bad. Now it's like I feel like I'm at a manageable weight where if I gain a couple pounds, it's not the end of the world. I can take it off easily. And that's kind of the idea is that stay kind of in this range and you will not hate yourself.
Now, when you say food has been a weird thing for you, what do you mean?
I was a picky eater when I was a kid, and then as I got older, there was nobody stopping me from being that way. So I just ate horribly, just horribly. It was meat and potatoes, sandwiches all the time, never a green vegetable. And I was drinking like a ton of beer. And then I just, gradually settled down and gave more thought to taking care of myself, because it really started with the smoking. When I'd smoked for almost 20 years. And then I got to that point, a lot of people do, where it's like, this is gross, and I can't even pretend to like it anymore.
Yeah.
How do I make this go away? And I read this book called The Easy Way to Stop Smoking, it's just all repetition. It probably uses hypnosis techniques, but the thing that really got me was that it was just common sense. Like in the opening pages of the book, it's like, you don't like smoking, and you can't pretend that you do anymore. I was like, that's exactly how I feel.
It's like, am I right, Paul?
Yeah. They should do that, like those books they make for kids with the kid's name in it. They should make a book like that for adults to help them quit stuff. But it was really effective because it was exactly where I was, like saying, like, you started smoking because you thought it looked cool. And I was like,
Is that why you did it?
yeah, of course. That's
Yeah.
why anybody starts smoking. It's gross. Like and it's in the book. Like the first time you smoke a cigarette, nobody's response is, this is the best.
No, you cough.
Yeah, it's horrible.
And you
It's
hope your
horrible.
parents don't hear.
Yes, it could not. This thing could not be telling you more. You do not want to get
Right,
involved with this.
right.
Yeah. And so that when I kind of realized that, like, oh, I don't need this to be a part of my life anymore, that opened up the door in my mind, like, oh, well, maybe there's other things that I could do to take care of myself and not actively kill myself.
And so are there any things now that you're like, and the next thing is I'm going to stop? I don't know what it could be, but... Or are you perfect?
No, I am not perfect, but I think what it comes down to for me is just make an effort and just, you know, try to be mindful of the stuff, and, you know, and it's not like I never indulge in any way. I absolutely do. But it is like realizing, as Cookie Monster says, this is a sometimes activity, not an every time activity.
I didn't know Cookie Monster said that.
Yes, Cookie Monster, I think this was about 5-10 years ago, Cookie Monster had to point out to kids, look, even though I'm a monster who thrives on eating cookies, like I
One
need
would
them
say
to
it
live.
defines him.
This is
yeah.
how much of a monster I am. I eat cookies exclusively. Cookie Monster had to say on the air, cookies are sometimes food. They're not an all-the-time food. So sometimes you have cookies, and it's great when you do, but look, guys, you're not monsters. You're human beings. I'm a monster. But then it's a double-edged sword because, well, first, you know, kids are emulating him because he's a fun guy.
Yeah.
Then he's pointing out I'm a monster. Don't do what I do. It's like, should I even listen to you?
Right.
What are you trying to do, monster?
You're shaking my faith.
Now I feel like I should eat all these cookies because somehow you're afraid that we're at peak cookie and this is going to affect you and your kind.
Right. Why didn't they think about that? How did you don't have kids, right?
No.
How did you catch this?
I don't mean I have nothing against kids. It amuses me to say it that way. It might have been a thing from Best Week Ever. I don't
that
know.
would make sense.
I don't know how I have that knowledge, but boy, it's in there.
So why do you hate children?
I think it's because they have no boundaries. I'm very fond of kids, but I got my personal act together, I feel like, a little late in the game to become a father at this point.
So you are not going to have kids? Ever.
I don't think so. It's a thing. My wife and I got married both being on the fence about it, and I think we're kind of on the other side of the fence at this point. But every once in a while, she will say, and she'll ask it like this, should we have kids? Now, that doesn't seem like someone whose clock is ticking, right?
No.
Yeah. That more seems like someone is hoping that the other person will say no.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, she will say, let's have kids. And then it never lasts. Like, then we talk about it further, and then it doesn't come up again for another, like 6 months or something. But she'll see me the way I light up around babies, because I love babies. I think babies are hilarious. And I love people's baby pictures. I never get tired of it. And I want to say, I'm going to throw this out to all Instagram users. Here's what I want less of.
Don't say puppies.
I want less of your sandwiches.
Oh, yeah.
And I got to say, I could
don't
do with a little less of your dogs.
Oh,
Puppies are one thing.
Okay.
Puppies
yeah.
are one thing.
Fewer adult dogs, please.
Here's what I'd like more of. More of your beautiful sunsets. Never get tired of
Yeah.
them. Right?
You're right.
And more of your adorable baby pictures.
You don't see a lot of babies on there. What? I don't see
There's a
lot
couple
of babies.
people. There's a
no
couple people that I
babies of
follow.
Instagram.
Oh man, there's a couple people that I follow that have adorable little babies, and they post pictures of them all the time. And there's this one child who is the child of people that I know in New York. I've never met this little boy. I feel like I am watching him grow up via a series of Instagram photos, and I feel.
Do you like them?
I do. I do. I like them, and I feel like. I want to say to them, hey, if I ever don't like a picture of your son, please call the authorities because something has happened to me. It would be weird. I've watched this little boy grow up, and I feel weirdly I feel like I'm weirdly related to him. Like I'm his uncle or something. Like I take a weird pride in looking at these pictures like, oh, look at him. Oh, first day of school. He's riding his little scooter to
Yeah.
work. To
Isn't
work, to school. He's also got a job after school.
That's good. Yeah. It's funny how when I think about it, I have the same feeling with a lot of my friends. Like I really feel like I know exactly what they're up to and what they've been doing, and I haven't talked to them in a few years, probably.
That is a weird thing because I got together with a buddy of mine in Austin, and we communicate a lot online, and it's like a guy that I did not actually know that much in person. Like I met him through friends when I would perform in Austin, and he's a great guy. And then we ended up corresponding a lot online, Facebook and Twitter and stuff like that. And then the first time I went and saw him in real life again, it was like I realized like, oh my God, I don't quite know what to say because we've only ever been communicating in written sentences in very short bursts. And it was a little awkward. The next time it was much better.
I sometimes prefer not written. Well, yeah, like I prefer not talking to people on the phone.
It's the worst.
So
what
you
is
have
worse
that
than
too
that?
as well.
Hate
Okay,
it.
because I feel like I hate it too. In fact, my boyfriend Daniel and I were just talking about the fact that I was saying that this is probably the first relationship that didn't involve a lot of phone calls at the beginning.
Yeah.
And thank God. I didn't add the "and thank God," but
It was implied.
yeah.
And I'm sure it was inferred.
Right.
My wife and I talk about this all the time. It comes up a lot with people. I think it's
People
because
who are upset that you didn't call them back.
Yeah. People who only call and they won't text. If you text them, they will call you back. And it's like you didn't need to. That could have
Right.
been a yes or no text. You did not need to flesh this answer out for me.
Right.
I think it's because of cell phones, because the quality of phone calls
Yes, it is.
has gotten so much worse.
Yeah.
Like when you in the old days when you were on a landline,
You could actually feel like you were relating and
Yeah,
hearing
yeah.
them and having a conversation.
talk
You
for
could spend
hours.
you could like both be watching a show and you'd both be on the phone. I used to do that all the time. Like you just spend your
Absolutely.
evening with them on the phone. But on a
Absolutely.
cell phone, it's impossible to
Yeah.
like all I'm aware of is all the barriers in the way of us communicating.
yeah, and you just feel like you're yelling. You know,
Yes.
no matter how much you try to make it a conversational tone, it just you can't.
And
It's
there's
so hard to
so-
fight that urge to
And there's
yell.
so much like, oh, wait, no, sorry, you go ahead.
Yes, exactly.
And
yeah.
that on the phone, there wasn't always that talking over each other, not hearing thing.
Yeah. I did this. I'm not proud of this. I was in the car, so it's a cell phone call and technically a speakerphone call because it's coming through my phone plugged into the car, so it's coming through the car speakers.
Right.
So I'm talking to my friend who's also on his cell phone, and we're trying to coordinate something. And he is a guy who is very excitable and he's full of ideas. So we're trying to figure this issue out, and he's talking, and he just goes on. And so he says something, and I realize, well, that's not going to work. So I try to say, well, that's actually not going to work. He can't hear me because he's just talking. And at one point, he's like going on and on. And keep trying to interrupt him. And I finally had to yell, "I am trying to talk to you!" And I instantly apologized. But I was in a weird white hot rage. It was so frustrating.
Yeah.
It was so frustrating.
Yeah.
It's bad news.
No, it's frustrating when the whole point of being on these devices is to communicate, and you can't.
Yes. It's like a
But
weird
I do
Twilight
love
Zone.
Twitter and my phone.
Exactly.
So,
I like
it's
that
brought many
stuff.
things into our lives, just not the ability to talk on
Yes.
it.
We're not trying to be misanthropes. It's not
Right.
like I hate people.
Right.
It's just like, please don't make me talk to you on a telephone.
Exactly. Okay, well, you know what, though? Here's something I would like to complain about for just a minute.
I
Not that
wish.
this is about complaints.
Okay.
But-
Or about me?
I think it's been somewhat about you.
No, I mean, this isn't going to be about me.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay.
No, I would save that for another episode.
Yeah, I wish this
I
whole
thought you were
conversation.
suggesting. I thought I was saying not that this show is about
No.
complaints, and you were saying or me. And I'm like, okay, we can talk more about you. We will.
Hey, do you know about the Alison Rosen show? We had a good time, but now we gotta go. Thank you for choosing the Alison Rosen show. Alison Rosen is your new best friend. That's right. That's right. Those Alison Rosen Show. Yeah! Yeah, Alison Rosen is your new best friend.
This is Corolla Digital.